just an exhibit of an incredible amount of Todd Rundgren memorabilia, and I love looking at it. I hate seeing things that I don't own that I want to get and don't know how to obtain, but it's incredible. There's not only copies of each album that he's recorded, but different covers of those albums and all sorts of tour programs, photographs, albums that Todd produced, albums that he engineered and or played on.
It's a great experience to be part of history of Todd's 28th album. Following him around the country on concert, this is a totally different experience watching him record an album. Something I've always wanted to see, never got the chance.
On the wall each night they've had huge pieces of butcher paper asking questions and letting the attendees answer those questions.
Every Todd fan's dream is to be in the studio with Todd, but that's not possible, at least not until now.
Let me give you a little introductory rappage here. This is, I hope that it's been made clear in the press and when you bought your tickets, somebody gave you a warning that this is not a show in the traditional sense. This is a recording session. In other words, you are participating in a recording session, so we are not so much obligated to entertain you as you are to help us create what will ultimately be a record, we hope.
As far as the shows, I like them a lot. The sessions, that's right. It's not a concert, it's a session.
Let me clarify the distinction between a recording session and a show. In a show, we might we would play every song once, and no matter how bad we played it, we would play it from beginning to end, and then go on to the next song, and kind of like try and forget how badly we played it once we had done that. In this particular context, if we start playing a song badly, then we have to stop it and start it over again, because there's no point in just going through the song for the exercise. We're trying to make a record.
The whole stage is completely different. Everyone's separated with plexiglass, headphones instead of monitors.
The reason why you're here is because in a normal studio setting, we would be playing the music, and then that would go onto a machine, and then it would get mixed, and then 6 months later or so, the audience at large would get to hear it, and that would sort of complete the loop of performer to listener. And we wanted to sort of close up that loop so that we can feel not like we're playing to a machine, but that we're playing to people. And coincidentally, you happen to be people.
You see, Joel Selvin said that, like, even that front of house mix suffered because everything was geared towards the real audience, which was out in the truck. Which, in a sense, is true, but I don't think that the front of house audience ever really suffered. They just didn't get quite as much as they would have had there not been a truck out back, you know, which, because I can't obviously pump it as loud as I would like to and be as dynamic with the mix as I would like to, because of how that's going to affect the ultimate outcome of why we're all here, and that's to make a record.
The ground rules are slightly different as well for you, now being almost part of the performance. The ground rules will be different. We are not seeking to make what is commonly referred to as a live album. That is an album where you go out and you play the songs, and it's just like the listener is in the audience. We want this to sound like a studio album, studio quality. That's why there's plastic all over the place, and we're all using headphones, and why the sound won't be deafeningly loud coming out of the PA. By the same token, we don't want the audience like hooting and hollering through the songs, and we would prefer that you waited until I give you a certain sign at the end that will signify that the master fader has been pulled down after the song is mixed, and therefore we can talk and make noise and stuff like that. So I will give you a sign. Now, I gave the audience a choice of signs last night. We have various signs, and you have to tell me which one you prefer. We have the sort of, the standard, give me one of these, Okay, there's the sign. And then we have the ever-popular peace sign. And then, of course, there's this sign here. That's the one you want, right?
There's no speakers on the stage, and we're all wearing headphones, as everybody can see.
And usually in a session, we get to mix our own monitor
our headphone mix. We get to do that ourselves. Whereas now you have a guy off the side doing it for us.
The idea of this album, at least this is my dissertation, this is what I'm telling myself, and you get to eavesdrop on it, is that I am not going to become an aging yuppie, if I can help it. And as long as I have the energy, I'm going to be a provocateur and a complainer and someone who tries to make things different than they are. Because, as everyone knows, things can always be better than they are. So the idea is, rather than get into this idea of like handing off the baton to another youthful generation, begrudgingly as we would, we are going to participate hand in hand, all of us together, as one sort of like unified unit. Us and our children, we're going to break the cycle of survivalist, defeatist mentality and march forward into that brand new day of 1991.
I've never heard Todd sort of announce what his songs mean to an audience, and I thought that was pretty nice.
The only thing that you can guarantee to change, if it's possible to change that thing, is yourself. I mean, at least you have some control, well, you presume to have some control over that. And as long as you think that there's something about yourself you can change, then if you change that thing for the better, then you've made the world better. That's all that it takes to make the world better, is to make yourself a better person. It may not be measurable on the grand scale. It may not be like the entire population suddenly swerves to a different direction, but that's not the way things work anyway. People have to take it upon themselves to change the world by changing themselves. That's what the song is about.
In a cappella, we would sometimes ask him what this means, and he would just, ignore us. In Nearly Human, when we started our sessions, he would tell everybody exactly what he was thinking or what the song was about, so that we would know and be able to give that kind of a performance. But if somebody were to ask him on the street, he wouldn't really comment.
We're rolling, right? Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2.
I guess the concept of the production is what you see. It's everything being done at once. And I had this sort of like idea the other night that you might see more of this, maybe with other artists, where there's a more controlled sort of performance on the stage. It's funny because I was just reading a thing in the paper today about the lip syncing issue.
Right.
And this is just the opposite of that.
The song Love Science essentially is it's my thoughts on this old problem of lip service, of being able to say, oh yeah, we should like love each other, man, and everyone should love each other, but most people don't really know that much about it. They don't know about what it takes to create the substance, and I feel it's about time. This is the age of technology. We've got computers. We've got all these cellular phones and technical advances. We might as well get down, and figure, like in hard terms, how we create love and how we distribute it equitably. And so that requires people to become love scientists. And so that's what the song is about.
It's like having sex in front of a whole bunch of people, Yeah. You got to perform, and you got to get it up, and you got to do it right.
I've been
still too young. I got these emotions in my blood, but when I grow up, gonna be a scientist of love. Working on science, got to know science, show the world how to be a scientist of love. Tell my friends, science, take a chance, science, give it up, science, become a scientist of love. Feel the power, science, study hard, science, know the truth, science, to be a scientist of love. Choose a plan, pick 'em up, put 'em down, bring it on home. Got to be a scientist of love. Woo!
1, 2, 3, go. Thanks. Come on, more just in case.
Safety, safety. Now watch your back. Yeah, we got this on.
Go.
Pancake down on their back.
In case you're wondering what we're doing up here, everyone has a report card to fill out after each song. Give me some indication of all the wonderful parts they had in there.
One thing that I find to be the most different for me is that there's no way to do like a rolling punch. You know, you can't say, okay, we goofed up to this point. Okay, let's just like roll the tape back, and then when we get to that point, we just punch in and go from there.
This is a song about there are plenty of reasons to feel a little bent out of shape over those particular individuals who ran for office and then by some quirk of fate actually won. The difference between the things they say when they're talking to us and the things they do when they're back in the office. One of those things is, like, oh, this is a terrible problem. It affects everybody. Just, pick the problem. It could be poverty. It could be AIDS. It could be any of these things that we would much rather be spending money on as opposed to stealth bombers or aid to Israel or anything else that you might want to spend money on, or bailing out SNLs or something like that. So this song is about people who will one day be in this situation, and suddenly what seems to be the expeditious answer, which is, yeah, we'd love to solve your problem, but we don't have the money. If it was happening to them, I think they'd find the money to take care of it. The song is called Who's Sorry Now?
Now face me. Put the trumpet right to the camera. Bend forward, girl. 2.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You can feel the body's aching. You can feel the spirit wasting. But it's someone else's children, and it's someone else's problem in the end. You just go about your business. You got bigger fish frying. Someday you might be a witness. Someday you may wake up crying like I cried.
What's the problem? There's no problem in your own little world. What's the bother? Can't be bothered till your own little world goes to hell. Then you can tell we are all in this together. We are all in this together. We got to pull together, and we can't worry. Who's sorry now? Who's sorry now?
We sound pretty good, but I'm not I'm not crazy about the smell.
This song is called The Smell of Money. And it was sung in the musical by a character in the name of Bernard Coates, who fancies himself the richest man in the world, or at least the world of this particular musical. Now, there's a fine distinction I have to make here. Bernard Coates is old money rich, as opposed to new money rich. Now, new money rich is somebody like Donald Trump, which means that you have recently screwed people out of the money. That's new money. And then old money, it means that your parents or grandparents screwed people out of the money and left it to you. So Bernard has sort of a moral dilemma about this. You know, it wasn't his own avarice that got him the money. It was just by chance that he became the richest man in the world, and he's dealing with it as best he can.
You have to consider the music that we're playing. It's just probably, well, for me, it's about the most challenging musically I've ever done. And then to do a complete take with the rubatos and the
this music is very difficult. I mean, that should be put in. It's actually, the keyboardist Roger's got like this phenomenal.
I think the real difference in it is that it is very sort of strictly arranged, as opposed to, you know, maybe just a band getting together and just playing their instruments and playing a bunch of chords. I mean, this is very sort of orchestral, kind of arranged music, which is a different kind of a demand on the performer, I think. Instead of you, like, you know, really performing and playing to the audience and maybe doing some acting and that sort of thing, you have to actually think more about your music and what you're communicating in playing that part. Your part is kind of, you know, there's not a lot of leeway with it, but you have to make the most of that part, and you have to play it really well. And in the context of a large ensemble. I mean, this is basically a small orchestra we have here, especially with, I mean, think about all the, not just the synthesizers that Vince and I use, but all the sounds that Bobby can get, and with the brass and Max, and then all the percussion with Scott. It really is like a very compact orchestra.
The stench of money is reeking off of me. A mix of cheap cologne, weasel pheromone, and rotted grave. Thank Dad and Mommy. I'm filthy, stinking rich, so I can say to you, piss off, I babe.
Well, I've noticed that night by night, the audience has gotten a lot better at being quiet at the end of songs, and they remember that they're not supposed to clap until Todd gives them the cue.
This song is called "If I Have to Be Alone." It's sung by the lead character in the musical. And if I can give you some insight into him, from the outside, he seems really like a jerk. Self-serving kind of, only interested in things that satisfy his immediate concerns and doesn't think ahead, and he's a jerk, you know. When I say jerk, you know what I mean? Yes, I think you do. So, but people aren't born jerks most of the time. People are made jerks, you know, and what is it that has made this guy a jerk? So this song is sort of about why this guy seems like such a jerky guy.
If I have to be alone, then I should make my mind serene. After all, you're born alone, you die alone, you might as well spend every moment in between alone. But if I have to be alone, then it will be on my own terms. I can never talk about it, ever show it, even though the world is watching while I squirm alone.
demos that are completely exactly what he wanted.
And we cannot vary on them at all. No stylization. When we sing for Todd, we have to try to be Todd.
This features Shandy Cinnamon in the part of Rowena Coates. Well, it's the character that you're...
Oh, great. I didn't even know
But it's not a show, remember. It's a session, okay? This also features Max Haskett as one of the guys, and Scott Matthews is another one of the guys. And everybody else is the rest of the guys. Okay. By the way, this is in 7/4 time if you'd like to tap along.
Quietly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Sometimes things fall apart. That's God's love in disguise. And when I break your heart, that's my love in disguise. When you awake in pain, it should come as no surprise. I'm not so sure I care, yet still it must be there. My love is in disguise, and all you want are sweet lies.
For instance, on kindness, he wants a very, which you don't have to do that in rock and roll records too many times.
This next song is entitled Kindness. And if you must know, I wrote it about my grandmother. So think about your grandmother when you hear this song. Is your reed perfectly succulent tonight, Bobby? Okay, it's good. It's good. It's good. Bad. It's bad. It's good. Okay. Kindness, and it goes very much like this.
The one that showed me kindness was the one that taught me kindness. Though I did not recognize it, still I might have died without it. And when I awakened, it was too late to thank her. If I live, someday I'll make on the kindness she showed me.
I think everybody should record this way. Keep the lighting designers of America busy.
This song is called Public Servant. The lyric, I believe, is self-explanatory.
My parts have been pretty well delineated by the demo tapes, and I do work outside of those parts and stick to the arrangement usually. Lyle's case, there wasn't even guitar suggested or written, so he's had a little more freedom there.
Freedom. I like freedom. I fly like a bird.
Todd got pretty accurate, with his drum machine parts for the demos, and he asked us to stay within those boundaries as much as possible, taking as few liberties.
I'm not one of these guys who likes to do like go for the obvious, sing a song directly about the earth, like take your atomic poison power away, or Stevie Wonder's conversations with plants, or things like that. It seems a little bit too head-on to me, so I took it like, okay, like Gaia is like a woman, man. Gaia is like this wonderful woman, who's just totally selfless and these things, and then she's got these really bad kids. Real bad, And she sacrifices for them all the time, and then they just kind of, oh, screw you, Mom. That kind of thing. So you can look at this song either way. If you're a little uptight with the ecological implications, then you can just look at it as being a song about some poor old girl who's being screwed around by her kids or her lover or whatever. I think you can cast it in any light you so desire.
I think one of the things I've liked about this is that it's been not only the method's been different about recording, but the feel of the whole album has been different. Todd has told us that he is going to be very different about the mix. It's not going to be so much a rock and roll record. He wants us to think of ourselves as an orchestra. And so I'm finding that I get to use different vocal techniques, more classical than rock and roll.
One, two, one, two, three, one, two, one, two, three.
Gaia's crying, can't you hear her crying? Like a whisper, oh so very soft and low. If you listen underneath the status quo, will she still be friends and once again
That's world. Excellent.
That's world.
Party on.
This song is called Second Wind, and it's kind of like it's the fulcrum of the message of this album here, which is, as I explained earlier, hey, we were all hippies in the 60s, or if we weren't hippies, we like to pretend that we were hippies, because it's just more, nobody was paying attention to anybody else except hippies in those days. And you notice that like the 60s is now being marketed. I talked about this last night. I went home and I saw it again on the TV. It was just flabbergasting to me. They got this new, I mean, you know about like the Beatles and the Beach Boys for cars and all that other stuff. You know, the Beatles and the Beach Boys, suddenly all of this, you know, tennis shoes and stuff like that, all of that, you know, really important moving message that we thought, you know, was really going to change the world actually turned out to only be good for selling shoes and cars. But now they are rewriting the 60s. They are rewriting it to conform to the new sort of like William Bennett paranoid kind of mentality, which is they've got all these people out they got these people out in the woods there, you know, and it's supposed to be the 60s. They say, oh, remember the 60s, that's when so many great things happened. And they got their headbands on, you know, and they're dressed in their jean jackets and stuff, and they're out there geeking around in the woods. But what are they doing in the woods? They've just discovered Coors beer. No, it's not some like mind-expanding, you know, like personal enlightenment thing. No, it's the brain-dead drug. I believe that inside every yuppie, there's a hippie screaming to get out. And I think it would just be more fun. Put it that way. Let's not say we don't accomplish anything, but it would just be a lot more fun if we let the hippies out again and told the yuppies to take a walk. And that's what this song is about.
The thing is, you can start and stop, but you can't start and stop as many times as you would in a real session.
Right.
In a real session, you would say, hey, you know, let's take a break and, you know, go off, do something else for a little while.
Right.
Then come back to it. Here, it's like, well, you know, these people paid money, they're sitting there. They don't want to see this thing go on all night. Maybe they do want to see it go on all night, I don't know.
Rocking chair, it beckons you like a junkie's needle. Start thinking feeble, cowardly lion. The special today is karma yoga. Blue to the sofa. Where was I when we lost power? Where was I when lies were spoken? Where was I when evil snuck in? Where was I when hope was choking? Spy in the house. Someday one of the kids may catch us cussing, then turn us in. Family ties used to be colors in a rainbow. Now we fly solo. Give me back the passion flower. Give me back the non-consumer. Give me back my lack of reason. Give me back my sense of humor. Go like cyclone, my second wind. The orchestra. Thank you. That's the session.